Kamala Harris is back in action. The former vice president, who may run again for president in 2028, appeared on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert Thursday. This was her first interview since losing the November election to President Trump.
Harris made headlines already this week when she said she will not be running for California governor in 2026. Here she is explaining that move.
Recently, I made the decision that for now, I don't want to go back in the system. I think it's broken. Our systems would be strong enough to defend our most fundamental principles. And I think right now that they're not as strong as they need to be, and I just don't want to, for now, I don't want to go back in the system. I want to travel the country, I want to listen to people, I want to talk with people, and I don't want it to be transactional where I'm asking for their vote.
Harris told Colbert that she didn't watch the news for months after losing to Trump because, quote, "I'm just not into self-mutilation." She further slammed those not pushing back hard enough on Trump. Let's take a listen.
It is completely naive. I think there are a lot of people who think they're riding out the storm as an excuse to be feckless. We designed our democracy with 3 independent, co-equal branches of government. I mean, when you see that the President of the United States is trying to get rid of the Department of Education, and Congress has the role and responsibility to stand in the way of that, and they're just sitting on their hands and then they go on recess because they don't want to deal with transparency?
The former VP was appearing on Colbert's show to promote her forthcoming book. Harris is set to publish a campaign memoir of her 2024 presidential bid. The book is called 107 Days, and that will be out this fall. Here she was making that announcement earlier in the week. Let's watch.
Just over a year ago, I launched my campaign for President of the United States. 107 days, traveling the country, fighting for our future. The shortest presidential campaign in modern history. This book, 107 Days. With candor and reflection, I've written a behind-the-scenes account of that journey. I believe there's value in sharing what I saw, what I learned, and what I know it will take to move forward.
You'll be dashing out to buy your, she is back, you'll be dashing out to buy your copy of 107 Days.
Well, hopefully I can get a free review copy.
Maybe
I don't
so.
want to spend my money.
Fair enough. So my overall view of this is that I have never been all that enthused about Kamala Harris as a candidate. I think she was obviously a better option than Biden last year because that was just untenable to continue with him, and there wasn't really, in my view, time for a proper primary. I am not even convinced that she will ultimately run for president in 2028, but she's certainly keeping the door open to that. It will be, all kidding aside, I think, interesting in the book as to, does she distance herself more from Biden? Does she blame the Biden people in some sense for her loss? Or is it just quite, what would we say, kind of sanitized? I know it was all great and we slightly fell short and I'll be back in 4 years. The Colbert stuff, the only thing that really stood out to me in terms of the clips we played was her idea that she's going to now stand outside the system because the system is broken.
She's an outsider now.
Yeah, exactly. And the tone in which you say that, I kind of would match in terms of my skepticism of her propensity to sort of try to shapeshift to fit whatever the particular political mores or zeitgeist of the moment is. It's pretty dubious to claim that Kamala Harris is in any real sense an outsider to a political system in which she was vice president, senator, attorney general of California, etc. But what do you think?
Yeah, it's first of all an interesting choice to go on Colbert. Obviously, there's the allegations of CBS canceling his show for political reasons, but nonetheless, losing $40 million a year, according to reports, and late night comedy, as we discussed, does not have the same cachet as it used to in American culture. So I thought that was strange. Regarding what the lack of running for California governor and the book means for a possible second presidential run, well, technically her third, I'm also not as convinced that this is a dead set indication that she will run again. I think this is actually a test case. She wants to see how the book performs, and I think she wants to see how people accept her explanation of why her campaign performed poorly. And that explanation, according to the title of the book, 107 Days, is that I didn't have enough time, which to me seems pretty absurd because she had the most enthusiasm, the highest support shortly after she took over as the nominee, and it only went downhill from there. Actually, the more time she spent in front of cameras talking to voters, the more time there was to scrutinize her record, the more people actually disliked her and moved towards Donald Trump.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a particularly compelling defense to the case that you just laid out, honestly, because if you look at the poll figures, they do bear out what you said. She was actually leading Trump in the polls soon, around the time of the Democratic Convention, in which he was just sort of being anointed as the nominee, and things tapered off pretty significantly after that. And in the Electoral College, she she lost by a pretty clear-cut margin. So, there has always been this question about whether the reality of Kamala Harris matches the expectation of Kamala Harris, because you noted that this would be her third run. Back in 2020, well, I guess it was actually 2019, because she didn't make it as far as the first contest in 2020. There was a lot of excitement. Her campaign was launched in Oakland. There was a big crowd. And, at a surface level, she's sort of like an appealing, smart, charismatic candidate. And then as time went on, just support for her dissipated. I think there are questions of authenticity around her. And so we'll see, to your point about how the book and how it will perform, is there a real groundswell of enthusiasm or support or craving for another Kamala Harris candidacy? I don't detect that even in, people who are, I would say, Democratic voters who are friends of mine, but not in the political game. So I'm unconvinced.
Yeah, I've heard the same thing from my friends on the left. And it seems like she is in this really difficult position because of her sort of flip-flopping between her time as DA and AG and then the 2019 campaign and then what she said in 2024, that she has managed to anger both the progressive base of the Democratic Party and also independent and right-leaning voters who find that she's actually too far left. So I don't know how you sort of square that circle and convince people that you are either the true blue progressive or the moderate, depending which direction she wants to go.
Yeah, she's found the opposite of the sweet spot. The bitter spot is what she has found. The White House is planning a new $200 million addition. Construction is set to begin next month, but who's paying for it? Find out after the break. Don't go anywhere.